All right, back again with an update. Okay, it's not okay. Let's organize this. Number one, so we actually did get our final quote for the dogs. We're looking at more like 15,000 instead of the initially quoted 13,000, and that is because we had to add on them picking up the dogs from Fort Worth and taking them down to Houston, and then from Bangkok to Hua Hin. Now, each of those, so Fort Worth down to Houston's like, 5 hours, give or take a bit. And then Bangkok to Hua Hin's about 4 hours. So that is quite a bit of driving for someone from down there to come up here and then take them, back down there. That does also include boarding for a couple days if they need to while they're waiting for the USDA endorsement. And it's everything. So it includes absolutely everything from start to finish. It's a lot of stuff that it includes. So I'm not going to go over every single itty bitty thing, but it of course includes all of our flights. Well, all of their flights. This is for 2 dogs, okay? Their flights, that includes their crates. Rocco may or may not need a custom crate. That includes all of their USDA fees and endorsement, house certificate, check-in, import, export, all that, all the paperwork, all the itty bitty stuff. We get a liaison, concierge kind of person that communicates with us back and forth. Basically like our own personal support. They help keep us on track with everything. There's a portal to upload all of our documents. There's a knowledge center there. They'll have a care tag on them and their kennels, so that way we'll get updates about where they're at. If they've been fed, if they've gone to the bathroom, gone on a walk, because they fly from Houston to Amsterdam, stay the night in Amsterdam. Then they fly from Amsterdam to Bangkok. Then they will get transported to us in Hua Hin. So that care tag, like I said, they'll update us. We'll know everything that's going on. They should also post photos and stuff so we know they're okay and all that. It includes changing if anything happens to where they need to change the flight because they didn't get the USDA endorsement or because of bad weather or whatever. That includes that in there as well. And it includes literally, really the only thing we actually have to do for them is they're going to need rabies shots. They have rabies, their rabies is currently valid, but when you move, it can't, the shot cannot be over a year old, even though here in the US we do the 3-year rabies. It cannot be more than a year old, but it also cannot be sooner than 21 days. So basically I could get them their rabies vaccine right now, but I'm probably going to wait until December to do all of that. Actually probably November to do that, get all that taken care of. We've got to make sure that their microchip numbers are on all of the documentation, which we have their microchip numbers. I just don't know if when we've gone to the vet, if they put it on the I don't know if that's standard or not. So we got to make sure that their microchip number is on all of that. We also need to verify what vaccines they all need. From what I'm seeing, rabies is basically the only one. The parvo, distemper, and all that's usually for puppies. So we shouldn't really have to worry about that one. But once we get connected with our liaison, after I put the deposit down, then we will have all of that information. So that really shouldn't be an issue. We'll be putting the deposit down next month. So, which luckily now they're very flexible too, you guys. I know when you hear a number of $8,000, $13,000, $15,000 to bring them over, They're very flexible. It's something that, let's say you know a year ahead of time you need to do that. You can put a deposit down and you can actually make payments on it, okay? It does have to be paid in full within 2 weeks of them traveling, but that gives you plenty of time to pay on it, to sell your stuff off, to do whatever it is that you got to do. And this guy worked with us really well. So the deposit was originally 10%. The time before last that we spoke, he said he could get it down to 5%. But this last call, he said he could get it down to 3%. So we'll only have to put down like, $400 or $500 instead of, $1,500 or whatever. So we're going to do that next month. Then we're going to make very low kind of payments until we start selling my car, selling his car, selling all the stuff in the house, that then we can put that bigger chunk towards that. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about is I think people tend to not quite understand what pet friendly means. And so some people say Thailand is very pet friendly. From what I'm seeing, it's really not. And here's where I think the kind of misunderstanding is. They have a lot of stray dogs over there. Oh, pet friendly. No, they got a lot of strays. That doesn't mean they're pet friendly. Now, they don't harm the strays. They don't try to capture them and put them, pet friendly. No. Okay, and I'll explain. We originally were going to look at Bangkok, but we switched to Hua Hin because Bangkok's not very pet friendly in terms of going out for walks or being safe or having a home with a lot of land for a yard for them. So we looked at Hua Hin, but honestly, it's basically the same in Hua Hin. It's dogs are being poisoned out there. They don't know if it's people intentionally doing it or farmers, spraying, and now there's pesticides and things everywhere that are harmful to the dogs. They've lost a lot of dogs recently due to the poisoning, a lot of strays and pets, unfortunately. And they have issues, sometimes with stray dogs being aggressive towards other strays or towards people or towards other dogs. A lot of homes don't want dogs because they just automatically think that the dogs are going to ruin everything and pee and poop in the house. I'm like, okay, y'all deal with a lot of strays, so I could see why you would maybe think that they're going to ruin stuff and pee and poop in the house, because if you take a stray from the street into your house and they're not trained, they've never been in a home, yes, they're probably going to ruin your stuff and pee and poop in the house because they don't know any better. But these dogs that have been pets for all of their lives, Rocco, who has been professionally trained, they literally haven't peed in the house since they were itty bitty puppies, and they don't destroy the house. Stacy's going to be 11 years old. Rocco's going to be 8 years old. For a German Shepherd, he's getting old. Stacy at 11, she's getting old too, but Stacy could live to like 16, 17. Whereas Rocco's more on the 13 to 15 range, but he's good. He doesn't ruin stuff. Like I said, they haven't ruined stuff since they were babies. He doesn't dig in the yard. He did that as a baby, but he hasn't dug anything in the yard for like 7 years. But they're just very afraid that their homes are going to get ruined and all this, so they don't want any dogs. And I'm like, so where are we supposed to live? Sorry, I don't know what happened just there. But now there are quite a few places that are pet friendly, but then they will say 1 dog only, and a small dog must not weigh more than like 4 kilograms. And I'm like, so a chihuahua, like what are we supposed? Okay. And then dog food. Now, they do have a lot of American brands out there. But unfortunately, the 2 that we use for them, They don't have, at least I haven't been able to find it yet. I checked Lazada. I checked some online places and have not been able to find the food that we use for them. So what I might have to do is start transitioning them to a different food like now that is available over there so they can get used to this new food instead of getting over there and now having to abruptly change them to a brand new food. From what I've heard when it comes to cremation or anything like that, from what I was told is that they don't euthanize, which can be a good thing and a bad thing because that means that they don't kill the dogs, right? But there's also not really much care for them either, especially the strays. But if your dog is suffering, they won't put it down. For me, that's a small issue. Now, we'll be in Thailand for 2 years. I don't really foresee any of them passing in 2 years unless it's an accident or something, kind of happens to them. But to me, that's really sad because the Chihuahua that we had before that we got when we got Stacy, the last probably like year or so of her life was really bad. Really bad. Her health started declining so fast, and it was really sad to see that every single day and to have to deal with that every single day because I was basically the only one taking care of them. And I brought it up multiple times. Hey, we need to seriously consider, doing that because she's suffering and she's been suffering and all she's going to do. What if she lives for another year like this, but in this condition? Like, that's not, what kind of life is that, but they really didn't want to. So we pushed it for months and months and months. And then it just got to the point that we couldn't handle dealing with it, but also we couldn't handle like seeing her continue to live the way that she was living. So we made that decision. But if we can't do that over there, it'd be very sad to just kind of sit there and watch our dogs be in such pain and be in such, misery, and we have to just let them be like that. Like, that to me is wild. Like, I could see no euthanization in the sense of, hey, our place is overran, but we're still not going to euthanize. But for a dog to be suffering, like, that's crazy to me. But like I said, we'll only be there for at least 2, maximum of 3 years, and I don't really see any of them passing in that time frame. But that bothers me, And then when I spoke to somebody about how does that work once they have passed, like, I'd want them cremated. I wouldn't want to just bury them there and like leave them there. So I'd want to cremate them. And from articles I read online were saying that the vets don't do that. You'd have to take it to like a temple. But when I spoke to a lady who said that she had did that for one of her dogs, she said it was like the worst experience ever and she will never do it again because they like just completely disregarded, the dog and her, and it was very disrespectful and like traumatizing, I guess, to see what they were doing. And so I'm just like, what the heck is going on? Like, you can't sit there and be like, we're pet friendly. No, you're not. You're not pet friendly, like, at all. Maybe a tiny Chihuahua, which is crazy because clearly they have a problem with dogs. They have a problem with stray dogs. They have a problem with, it just not being a good situation over there. And so I'm just like, for those of you who want the brutal, honest answer, no, I don't think that they're pet friendly. And even transporting the pets, it's kind of like good luck getting them anywhere without your own car, like, which is understandable. I get it. There are some, we just saw a thing recently that said the train will let them. We're not sure if there's a weight limit, but only in third class, which means no air conditioning. Now, obviously, like, the windows are open or whatever, so you're getting air. But y'all know when it's 105 degrees outside and that wind is blowing, it's still blowing hot freaking air. And that's a 4-hour train ride to Bangkok. And I don't think my shepherd would be able to handle 4 hours in that kind of weather, that kind of condition, just being so hot on the train. Like, so I think it's a little ridiculous that they don't have a air conditioned section that will allow the dogs, because they should be in a temperature controlled environment, not in 100-degree weather. So now, I mean, for us, it's not a huge deal breaker because we typically don't really bring the dogs with us places anyways, because they're very anxious. So whenever they get in the car, they're very, very anxious. They don't puke. They don't do anything like that. They just pace back and forth and the whole entire car ride. So it's just, we usually just don't really bring them places. Taking them on walks and stuff is fine, but like having to drive them like an hour and a half to go hiking, or like, it just, they just don't do so well in the car. So for us, like I said, it's not a huge deal breaker. There are some other people who are like, we bring our dogs with us everywhere. And it's kind of like, okay, well, you may or may not have a problem with that. So like I said, though, this is all just from things that I'm reading, from things that I'm seeing inside these Facebook groups, from people that do live over there. We're clearly still not over there yet. We won't be over there until the January, February timeframe. So we don't know exactly 100% how it's going to be for us and our dogs. We're just hoping we can find a place with a decent sized yard that will accept both of them. That's kind of where we're at. It's just kind of sad, I guess. Like, sorry to kind of go on a rant about the dogs, but it's like here in Texas, it's really bad. And so when everybody was like, well, Thailand is pet friendly, like, it's going to be just fine. Like, they don't have problems like we do here. It sounds like it's worse over there. Like, here in Texas, we see quite a bit of strays, but I feel like they're more so people's pets that get out. And there are some owners who don't care that their dogs get out because they're like, oh, well, they always come back. Yeah, well, one day they probably won't, So, but there's been a lot of times that we've been driving down the highway and the freeway and regular streets, and there's a dead dog on the side of the road. Like, people don't care here. The ones that do are so few and far between that the shelters are overrun here. And unfortunately, we do euthanize here. And I think that is sad, that it's just because, hey, there's not enough space, so we got to get rid of some of you guys, but it's just a big problem. And it seems like everyone's aware of it. The state is aware of it, but like nothing really is being done, like, I mean, the shelters and the rescue people try, but like they can only do so much if it continues the way that it's going. And unless Texas starts cracking down on some people or something, like, it's not going to get any better, you know, so sadly it's the same, if not worse, over there, and we just have to make sure that our dogs are good, you know. That's really all we can do, so we'll figure it out when, you know, when the time comes to have to figure it out. But right now, I'm just going to focus on getting them over there and finding a house that will accept the both of them. So that's my update for you guys now. And once I put the deposit down and get more information on how all of that is actually working, I will update you more on the dogs and how that's going. And for now, see you in the next one. Bye.